Outside the Beltway with John Fredericks. Talking to Americans outside of Washington, in the heartland, in our cities, and in our communities. About what matters to them. Outside the Beltway with John Fredericks starts now.
You're on Outside the Beltway. I'm John Fredericks, and I am your blowtorch of free speech in America, your oracle of the deplorables. I want to thank everybody for being with us. This segment brought to you by my great friends at Healthy Cell. Man, I am fired up today. Why? Because I take my vitamins, I get a good night's sleep, I take REM sleep. Hey, you want to feel better? You want to be at the top of your game? You got to go to healthycell.com. Promo code Godzilla. You're going to get 20% off. I take 3 things a day. Now, you don't have to take all 3, but you need to take at least one, and that is REM sleep. Because that is going to put you 15 minutes before you go to bed. That is going to put you in the deepest sleep you can imagine. In that stage 4 sleep, you're going to dream, but you're going to wake up refreshed. Your body needs to rejuvenate. Sleep is the most important thing your body can have. That's what my son tells me. He's an athlete. He gets his 10 hours a day, no matter what. Got to get it. Get your REM sleep. I also take the Bio Multivitamin. I don't go to GNC and take it in a pill form so it rots your gut and you piss 90% of it out. You just pee it out. It's like garbage. I throw the money down the toilet. When you get the multivitamin gel, it goes right into your system. Your cells absorb it. And look, we're going around, we're working hard. We're always not eating exactly the right way. And this multivitamin is going to really make a difference in your health, how you feel, and your life. So you want to feel better? I also take the Focus for what I do for a living. Doug Collins turned me on to that. He's a big believer in it. Secretary of the VA told me to take it, told me it helped him, and I did, and it does. But you can get all this. Just go to healthycell.com, promo code Godzilla, healthycell.com, promo code Godzilla. You're going to get 20% off your first order. Do it today. You're going to feel better immediately. You got to lace them up and lace them tight. We got a lot going on. I need you healthy. I need you feeling good. I need your energy, right? You got to feel better. It's all good. Healthycell.com. You're good to go. Okay, joining us now, special treat is John Goodman. John has been working with White House lawyers and staff on an upcoming election executive order, which will legally end mail-in ballots, which is 100% different than the absentee ballot. And John is also the Florida Election Integrity Committee member. Hey, John, thanks for being with us today.
Hey, good morning, John. Thank you for having me on today.
All right, so tell me about this executive order to end mail-in ballots. So, of course, whatever it is, there'll be a lawsuit the next 7 minutes, but tell me how this thing works and how it could be real, John.
Well, actually, the way you end mail-in ballots is simply because there is no such thing as mail-in ballots, John. There is nothing about mail-in ballots in the Constitution or the 1965 Voting Act. Simply stated, mail-in ballots was a sexy name given to the way we were forced to vote in 2020, period. And when the pandemic ended, Joe Biden did not switch it back to our voting system, which is absentee ballot. And we all know about absentee ballot. Remember, it was for that narrow band of Americans who really could not make it to the voting station, like overseas military, disabled, elderly, hospice, that kind of thing. Those people could vote from home. But mail-in ballots, when the states opened it up to their entire state, they changed our voting system. Because why do you need absentee ballots anymore for that narrow band of people when anybody, 25 years old, Olympic gold medal winner, can vote by mail now? I do want to say, though, in fairness, 13 states did go back to the law after the pandemic, but 37 states, it's wide open. And 8 of those 37 states, John, it's 100% vote by mail. You can't even vote in person if you wanted to in 8 states. So think about if the country was to go to 75% all mail-in ballots. We would never know who actually won or lost an election.
But
So,
John, the Constitution is clear that the state election laws are up to each individual state. So how does a federal executive order change? Like Oregon has 100% mail-in ballots. What they do is, if you're a registered voter, they mail you a ballot and you mail it back. Right?
mhm.
Everybody gets a ballot in Oregon or in Oregon. That's their law. Of course, Republican will never win under that system because they cheat, harvest, do the whole thing. But how does an executive order overturn what is clearly laid out as states' ability to manage their own elections?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, John, because there's been the biggest myth for the last 2 centuries that the states have the 100% power over elections. Well, we're about to break some news on your show right now. I would say to you and your great viewers to go to a 1995 Supreme Court case, and it's called Term Limits v. Thornton. And in that written decision, it was out of Arkansas, the Supreme Court, in their written decision, said the following, and I'm going to quote and read right from the written decision. It's not long. I'm just going to read the relevant parts. The court ruled that states cannot go beyond protection of the integrity and regularity of the election process and instead operate to disadvantage a particular class of candidates. This is from the Supreme Court, 1995. And then they went on to say in the written decision, the framers understood the powers of the states in elections as a grant of authority to issue procedural regulations and not as a source of power to dictate electoral outcomes, favor or disfavor a certain class of candidates, or to evade constitutional restraints. So the bottom line is the states did not have the authority to change a 250-year-old voting system by eliminating mail-in ballots, or I'm sorry, by eliminating absentee ballots and replacing them with mail-in ballots, which isn't even in the 1965 Voting Act. There's no such thing as mail-in ballots, John. Should have been switched back. But the reason Joe Biden did not switch it back to absentee ballot is because he knew that if he did, illegals would not be able to vote. That is the bottom line. It would be back to just that narrow band that can't go to the voting station. And illegal aliens aren't going to vote in person. You think the illegal aliens are going to go down to the local voting station with no ID? It's all about mail-in ballots. And I want to throw in while you're talking about it, John, when absentee ballots are running normally, there are 6 to 8 million ballots floating throughout our mail system throughout the country. But with mail-in ballots, it's almost 60 million. No wonder ballot harvesters are having a field day. So that's how he changes it. He's got both the constitutional law and the 1995 Supreme Court ruling that says the states cannot do anything that degrades the integrity of the election. As I recall, they tried to take Donald Trump off the ballot in 4 or 5 states before the 2024 election. That would violate everything also. So that's how mail-in ballots can go out the window, and they are. And they are. As far as absentee ballot, you didn't hear anything. Remember in the old days, as recently as the midterms in 2018, you'd see the people on TV. We're waiting for the absentee votes before we can make a call on this state. Well, in 2020 and 2024, how many times did you hear the word absentee vote or absentee ballot? 0.
All right, John, stay with us for another segment because I want to understand what the executive order would do specifically and how you would stop a court challenge, which will happen within 7 minutes, right? So stay with us. John Goodman on the Florida Election Integrity Task Force. We'll be right back. And I am your blowtorch of free speech in America, your oracle of the deplorables. Thanks for being with us. John Goodman, another segment. This brought to you by Mike Lindell, my good friend. Hey, he's running for governor in Minnesota. That's pretty cool. But Mike and MyPillow employees and my good friend Dawn Curtis, their VP Marketing, they want to thank you. I want to thank the John Fredericks listeners and viewers for their great support in 25. They want to make 2026 the best year ever in MyPillow. So to do that, and to thank you, they're giving you free shipping on your entire order and wholesale pricing. So they're bringing back the Mega Sale. This is the biggest sale ever, the Mega Sale. For example, no shipping on my classic My Pillows. Regularly $49.98, now only $14.98. Turn any mattress into the best mattress ever, like I did, with the made in the USA My Pillow mattress topper, and save up to $100. Get a set of My Pillow Giza Dream Sheets for as low as $29.98. Or the 6-pack towel set, which is to die for, $34.98. To get the best specials ever, just go to mypillow.com, use promo code Godzilla, free shipping. Promo code Godzilla, free shipping. That's mypillow.com. Promo code Godzilla. Get the savings, get free shipping, or you can call them. Do it now. Plus, get the slippers. 800-854-0504. 800-854-0504. Go to mypillow.com. Promo code Godzilla. Again, you can just call them. They got people answering the phone right now. They all work on commission, so they'd love to hear from you. 800-854-0504, and you are good to go. Okay, we're back with John Goodman, and John is Florida Election Integrity Committee member. So, John, walk us through the executive order. What would it say, and how would it stand up legally? Because, like, I just got a text here from a gentleman in Ohio, Sunny in Ohio, says that we have had no fault mail-in absentee ballots in our law in Ohio since 2005, well before the pandemic. So how would you deal with that?
Okay, well, first of all, one of my biggest messaging challenges, John, is that people combine the fact between absentee ballot and mail-in ballot, because even with the legal absentee ballot, you still mail it. So I want to make sure that your listener and viewer in Ohio understands that mail-in ballot is no such thing. An absentee ballot has been used since 1775 at the start of the revolution.
Okay, but what he's saying is that Ohio, and I'm trying to understand how real what you're saying is. That's all. Okay, so I'm not challenging it. I'm trying personally to understand it, right? So that's the nature here of our conversation.
Okay.
So in Ohio, they're calling it a no fault absentee ballot. Like when I grew up in New Jersey, you would have to apply for an absentee ballot. You would have to give a reason, right? I'm traveling on business. I won't be there that day. Back then, there was no early voting. They would then grant you an absentee ballot, and they would send it. You would mail it in. Ohio has a no-fault absentee ballot. Their law. How do you change that?
Okay. Well, first of all, Donald Trump, you're asking about the EO. President Trump is going to declare a national security emergency on elections, John, and he's going to invoke his Article 2 powers. Okay? That's the first thing he's going to do. And the bottom line is Article 10, government cannot overrule the Constitution. There you go. Not state law, not federal law. You can't overrule the Constitution. And it's even said in Article 6 in the Constitution that, quote, the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state, I'm quoting now, the judges in every state shall be bound thereby, anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary notwithstanding. So states can make all kinds of laws from sunrise to sundown, but if it changes or violates the Constitution, it's null and void. That's how. So the states like Ohio doing that, and 37 states saying anybody can vote by mail, absentee ballots are history, both fall under the same scenario of what I'm telling you, that you cannot per Article 6. Government, whether it be Donald Trump, can't overrule the Constitution. No one can without a
All right, so the
constitutional amendment.
president signs this EO, and we don't know if he is or not, but if you say, you think he is, fine. So let's play it up.
He is.
So the president signs this EO that says mail-in ballots present a security problem in the United States, right? So wherever he does it, right, the next like 20 minutes, they file a suit, and some judge somewhere in the Ninth Circuit in San Francisco blocks it, has an injunction. So that's gone.
Right.
Then we do an appeal. Now it starts making its way up to SCOTUS, right? So it's got to get to SCOTUS because it'll get appealed till it gets there. Are they going to? Can they? Like, it's already March now. I mean, can they get to this before the election in November? Probably not. And even if they did, you just saw what John Roberts did with the tariffs. They just blew it out 6-3. So then it's got to get to SCOTUS. What confidence do you have that they'll not just say, well, you can't do that, like they just did with the tariffs on a technicality?
100% confidence, and I'll tell you why. All right? We know that some left-wing judge is going to file an injunction, just like you said, John, the moment he signs that executive order. You're right on base with that, of course. But it's going to be fast-tracked to the Supreme Court because it deals with the midterm elections. And now your next question to me was, what's to say the Supreme Court's not going to pull another tariff issue and just say, no, mail-in ballots can stay and your EO is no good? Here's why. I spoke to Peter Tickton. Remember, 1995 Supreme Court ruled that the states cannot make changes other than procedural changes when it comes to elections. So here's the answer to your question. Only one time in the history of the Supreme Court has a current Supreme Court overruled a decision from a past Supreme Court. In all the years of the Supreme Court, they've only overruled a prior Supreme Court's decision one time, and we know what that was. Roe versus Wade, Roe v. Wade. Otherwise, there's an etiquette, an unspoken etiquette at the Supreme Court where they don't want to embarrass past Supreme Courts, and so they don't overrule past Supreme Court. It's happened only once in the history of the court, John. That's the confidence I have. And when they see the Supreme Court sees the 1995 decision along with the Constitution and the 1965 Voting Act, we believe it holds based on that. Supreme Courts don't overrule other Supreme Courts.
So what do you do with Ohio and other states that simply change the name from mail-in ballots to no-fault absentee ballots?
The bottom line is lipstick on a pig is still a pig, right? The bottom line, that is layman's terms, not fancy verbiage, but that's the case. And so the Democrats, if you notice everything with elections that they support, it's for the same reason. They want to preserve the right of illegal aliens to vote.
Mm-hmm.
And in California, 38 million mail-in ballots, 38 million just that one state. And the reason it's so high in that state, John, is because of the voter motor law. They automatically register you as a Democrat when they give the illegal alien an ID or driver's license, which shouldn't happen in its own right, right? And the only way you can not do it that way is if the illegal alien checks a box and opts out. And believe me, an illegal alien that's just happy to be here, if you say, sign this, and sign that, they're going to sign it, not even knowing what it is. You think they want to go back to Nicaragua or South America? They want to stay here. So that's how it's going to hold, and that's how the Democrats are doing it. And I will tell you this, the SAVE Act, which you were talking about, I love the SAVE Act. Everything in the SAVE Act, I love it. But here's my concern about the SAVE Act, John. A lot of what's in the SAVE Act has already been in our voting system for 250 years. So I would hope the messaging would pivot to letting the American people know that everything that President Trump is doing is either a constitutional law ruling, or it's either in the Constitution or a Supreme Court ruling. By the SAVE Act, although the material in it is good, but it gives the impression to the American people that we're creating new laws because we actually wrote a new bill called the SAVE Act. I don't know why we just don't say the Democrats can scream until they're blue in the face. We're going to follow the Constitution.
Well, the SAVE Act's irrelevant, John, because it's not going to pass, right?
It's not going to get 60
They
votes.
can't get 60 votes in the Senate.
Right.
And the Republicans are so scared now in the Senate. They have no balls. They have no backbone. They have no spine. So they're going to stick with the 60 vote cloture rule so they can, hide behind mommy's dress or something. So that's not going to pass anyway, right? I mean, I've given up on getting rid of the 60 vote cloture rule. So that's not going to pass.
Yeah, and the optimists that are saying they maybe will pass, they're talking about a talking filibuster, then it goes to cloture.
Well, they would have to, the Republicans-led Senate would have to vote out the 60 vote cloture rule and vote in the talking filibuster. Should they do that? Absolutely. Are they going to do it? No, because they have no balls, John. They have no balls. They have no backbone. They have no spine. They have nothing. They're a bunch of rhino losers. That's what we're dealing with. So your bill here, your executive order vision.
Not mine.
Well, you're supporting this might be the only option because it's SAVE Act is not going to happen. John, thank you. I have to go. People want to follow you, John. Where do they go?
They can go to Getter, and it's at John Good 1965 at JOHNGOOD 1965. I only post truthful content, no conspiracy theories or anonymous sources, John.
All right, John Goodman. Thank you. Thanks for us enlightening on that for us. Keep us posted. Talk soon. Coming up next, Dr. Thorpe. Don't want to miss that. I'll be right here.